Happy New Year to our huge audience, which at this stage of the game is close to 32 billion. So, Kurt and Stephan, Happy New Year, good morning, and welcome to our first vodcast of 2026.
Happy
Happy New
New
Year,
Year
John.
back at you, John and Steph. It's great to see you.
I have met you folks through the Sydney Breakfast Club, which we're going to start referring to as the Saanich Peninsula Business Incubator, because that, in fact, is what happens at those monthly meetings and networking meetings of industry folk. And we took quite the leap last year in all kinds of activity and being organized around a community hit with tariffs, hit with economic dislocation, and the communities understanding and accepting that we have to change to adapt to this new world. The question then naturally becomes, what is this new world? What is it that we are trying to strive towards? And that is why we are meeting. That is why we are going to start to have a bunch of dialogue around this sort of thing. What does a new world look like? Fundamentally, there are some economic realities that we've chatted about at the Sydney Breakfast Club, and I've heard across many industries, and we've heard from the federal government that there's going to be a huge emphasis on defense spending. That is because of what is happening around the world, especially down south. And many folks have been asking me lately, well, how do we take advantage of this defense spending? More to the point, how does our community adapt to what should be a huge influx of money? Could there be other activities? Could there be other growth? Could there be other developments that happen with this defense spending? I would hope that this will be our first discussion around that and start to embrace the community into this dialogue. So let me introduce you both to it's now gone down to 31 billion viewers because, of course, they're bored of listening to me talk so much. Kirk Salchert, retired naval captain, now policy and strategic advisor. Stephan King, retired naval commander, and now manager of maritime security for the Coast Guard. Where do you two want to begin with what I threw at you right now?
Well, I can start if you like, John and Steph.
Absolutely.
It's great to see you again. Um, I think the time is right to start a practical and values aligned conversation about where the South Vancouver Island region, and in fact, I'd include the Central Island as well, because it's part of a larger ecosystem, where we're heading and how we can kind of work together. There are global challenges, there are national priorities, and there's local realities that are all converging in a way that we haven't seen for decades. And as we've heard from the Prime Minister, through academic and thought leaders, Canada is facing a more dangerous and uncertain global security environment. We've heard that there are major defense and marine infrastructure investments. Locally, we've got productivity, affordability, and workforce challenges. We know that defense modernization is accelerating, particularly in the naval and maritime security space, where Canada is now onboarding, new classes of ships, considering major investments in submarines and other advanced technologies. And arguably, CFB Esquimalt and the South Vancouver Island defense community is at the center of that shift. And we need to jump on this opportunity before others do.
Fabulous. Love it. That was an elevator pitch. And that's, of course, how we have to start. Folks have got to get a sense of why are we spending time on this. Stephan, your reaction?
Um, Great points by Kurt. Or maybe I'll add that I have the benefit of working out of Ottawa. That's my substantive position, but good fortune of living out here. and attending the Sydney Breakfast Club, which thank you, John, for all you do to make that a place where so many views of so many people from so many different vectors come in and socialize issues that are related to South Island for sure, but are engaged even globally. And to Kurt's point, I think, and to your kind of going in statement about there's opportunity here, and what do we do about that? Within the context of Coast Guard, we've just moved over to the Department of National Defense. We are potentially looking at a security mandate. If the Bill C-12 is in government, and I work a lot in international and domestic capacity building as part of the things that I do. Really focused on force development now, capability development. So I'm looking at tools, I'm looking at technology, I'm looking at how we reframe in a way that allows Canada to and the Coast Guard to do better, and in terms of monitoring and detecting and responding to things that are occurring on our coasts, all of our coasts. And getting back to the West Coast particularly, we have the benefit of no ice, but a very decent amount of weather, rough weather, calm weather, and we have a direct connection with our major trading partners across the other side of the Pacific. We are bordered on each side of our province by the United States, and so we share responsibility across that area, that corridor. We have trade moving through all the time. So my perspective is kind of focused on, well, how do we look at what we can do here to test and evaluate capabilities, employ that capability, help the talent that exists on our coasts to deploy those ideas that they have, some of them commercially viable, some of them in some sort of ideation stage, to the best effect. So that's one of the many thoughts that I have, but I'm
Well,
conscious of time and
we're
talking.
going to explore and cover all of those, maybe not today, but certainly in
Yeah.
future chats. Let's break down the next little bit here in two pieces. One, I'm now the guy on the street. Okay, I'm your SME, and I'm going, hey, this is real interesting. I want to benefit from this increased spending on military everything, frankly. And so, how do I do that? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how would I do that? All right, and being someone who's benefited from and applied for government funding throughout my life, my business life, I recognize in large degree it's who you know. Sometimes it's who you know, or you're within a network and you are made aware of opportunities that you might not have been awake for. That's what this group is going to try to be, that central hub in which you might join and hear about how to take advantage of opportunity. Because in large degree, for someone on the street, I don't know what I don't know. So we're gonna. So I'd like to have you answer that question a little bit. Secondly, once we succeed, and we will succeed in communicating these opportunities to the community, and the community taking advantage of them, and then funding flowing to our region, are there other community benefits that are not directly making money for business? Are there other ways? So there's two parts to this. If you gentlemen could talk about the first one, please.
Yeah, I would just say that there's a lot of things in play here. In addition to obviously the global and the national security paradigm and the investment opportunities, there's local challenges at home that I think a lot of people can leverage, and maybe we can use this defense investment opportunity as a catalyst to make South Vancouver Island a better place to live, work, play, invest. We've got
We will.
challenges in terms of
We will,
housing.
Kurt. We will.
We've got
Yeah.
challenges in housing affordability. We've got the social issues that we see when we're walking in downtown Sydney or downtown Victoria. We've got workforce shortages. We know that there's transportation infrastructure strain. We've got competition for land, talent, capital. And unless we work together and bring the entire community of interest, which means all levels of government, First Nations, industry, academia, the local citizens, infrastructure providers, utility operators, unless we bring them all into this ecosystem and have a comprehensive shared awareness of what the challenges are and what the opportunities are, we're never going to get the full benefit of this incredible opportunity that is at our
Yeah.
doorstep.
Now,
So,
uh,
we know that CFB Esquimalt and the Victoria area is Canada's Pacific naval anchor. So let's take advantage of, our strategic proximity to these capital assets and dockyards and fleet facilities and whatnot. Let's take advantage of our deep water ports. Let's take advantage of our world-class training, our world-class, highly skilled workforce that we have here. Let's take advantage of the innovative SMEs and research ecosystems, et cetera, and do something better than we have done in the past.
I'm going to play devil's advocate, Stephan. I'm sure you would like to reply, but I'm going to play devil's advocate first of all. Those issues you identified, Kurt, at the beginning around um, housing affordability, around lack of updated transportation facilities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Generally speaking, our responsibility of government. They're the only people that can garner enough money and garner enough land use control to impact these changes. The fact that we still have these problems means they're not doing a good job. Okay? So I think part of why I'm really excited about this effort is that we're introducing now another leg of the stool, that being the private sector, individual, small business community leg. And if we galvanize, not politically, but if we galvanize together organizationally, communication wise, I think we can influence the other leg that hasn't been terribly innovative lately, the last 20 years, in solving these problems. So for folks that are hearing this, this is part of creating sort of a community advocacy around business to impact these challenges with the new opportunities that we are expecting out of Ottawa. That's how I'm seeing that. I love it. Stephan, your reaction?
Yeah, like communication is really a crucial point of underlying how does somebody take advantage of these opportunities if they don't even know they exist. And across small businesses where you're in some cases hand to mouth, or you really don't have the time to dig into how to do this, the ability to direct them to Canada Buy and Sell or Innovative Solutions Canada or a government funding envelopes, to network in terms of just who is important. You're absolutely correct on that point. And so bringing in young academics, for example, into the conversations that we've had, bank or investment people, or those that have retired and have an enormous amount of experience and connections across many, sort of areas where somebody might want to try their hand at joining a groundswell of support into business development of some sort is crucial. And they can tackle things like transportation infrastructure correction, or establishing new corridors for even factory work, even conveying raw materials to and from an area to assemble, test benching any of the ideas they have. So yeah, absolutely. I think that communicating and sharing expertise, making sure that those ideas that are sort of within another room somewhere are brought in and tabled against their value to the greater picture, which is to help development and tackle the problems that we have and find opportunities.
And I think that's critical to our messaging, that there is some basic business development that everyone loves. We are a capitalistic country, and we want to remain that way. And we want to develop business, and we want to develop this with a maybe once in a generation spend on our infrastructure. The second part of this, which we want to encourage and promote and yell to the clouds, is that the benefits of all of that activity will help the community in non-business ways. And that's what we're going to put all of that together this year. It's a movement. I think Kurt, Stephan, you two have started a movement. This is the beginning of it. And I really appreciate you taking the time to think about this, to think about the community, and for us to have an ongoing dialogue. We're going to have you speak at the February 11th Saanich Business Peninsula Business Incubator meeting, i.e. Sydney Breakfast Club. There will be Scott Dewis talking directly around defense procurement ITBs. So very specifically, how do you take advantage of this stuff? I understand, Kurt, you're also thinking with some of the colleagues you've chatted with over the past 3, 4, well, half a year, I'd say, maybe a session, a one-day session, a sort of a dialogue. So, gentlemen, thank you. Any final thoughts?
Well, I think time is of the essence. Just strategically, we see what's going on in the world, and obviously, we've got threats at our doorstep, and we need to be prepared. But more practically, the Prime Minister, government, I would hope government is moving swiftly. They've certainly made a lot of bold announcements and commitments, and I think there's a tsunami of opportunity coming. We need to be ready for that tsunami. So that means efforts like this that bring people together to at least frame the challenges and, more importantly, frame the opportunity, build a community of interest that is able to candidly share ideas, agree to work together, and truly exploit the opportunities and understand the opportunities that are going to come with this tsunami of defense spending. So we are probably late to the game, and we really need to pick up our pace. So I'm really excited about what 2026 has to offer.
And that's fabulous. Thank you both. Talk to you both soon.
Thank you, John.